Hi, folks, and welcome to the first episode of The Real Experience. I am Scott from TinyLizard.com, and since I was about to go download some data and start building out a model, I thought others might be interested in seeing, how I do that and kind of getting, sort of the unfiltered experience instead of, some pretty demo that works perfectly, or even when you're trying to demonstrate one specific concept in PowerPivot or whatever, and you have like this, just one little snippet that of course works, and you're trying to just demonstrate something simple. I thought it might be fun to sort of show the end-to-end experience and whatever trials and tribulations I have during this experience, we can all experience them together. So let's get started here. And I'm looking at the National Center for Education Statistics, and this is a website to let you pull down some data. I will probably edit this portion out, and we'll reconvene once I've grabbed some data, just because their site tends to be a little bit slow, and it'll sometimes time out and stuff, so that's not necessarily fun for everyone. So as those spinning circles go there, let's reconvene once I've actually grabbed some data. Just wanted to show really quick that I'm now in the next stage here, and it's kind of showing me all the columns I selected, which is the grade 12 dropouts as well as the grade 12 students. And then I think we're going to create this table. This has been known to not complete in time for me, so I'll pause here and I'll retry until it works, and then you'll be none the wiser. And actually, nothing bad happened, and we have some data. And nicely, they have this little export to CSV, which I'm using over export to Excel for no particular reason, other than I like using CSV files since there's absolutely no standard for a CSV, and so you're bound to run into problems. It's super fun. So apparently this can take 1 to 2 minutes. So hopefully our last little break here. And they gave us a sweet little zip file. Let's download that bad boy, and it's ready in a hurry. Hey, look, I've done this before. Don't tell anybody. Let's drag this to my desktop. Does that work? I'm going to rename this something convenient. Oh yeah, that's a good name. Alright, time to bring up some Excel. 2010. Why 2010? Without being too snarky, the 2010 experience is just better for PowerPivot. 2013 was a big step backwards in the usability of PowerPivot, so when I use 2010. Okay, so the CSV file's on our desktop. I'm just going to open it up in Notepad and just kind of take a look at it and see what's going on. Looks like lots of numbers and stuff, but this is really our header row, and this is a bunch of junk above it. And then down at the bottom, you can see there's a legend suggesting there's going to be some kind of madness in the data. Look, there's an equals 0 and some dashes, totals, which we probably don't need. And then this table's really wide, right? This thing goes on really far. In PowerPivot, generally, you're going to want something that's not a really wide table. You'd generally prefer more rows and less columns. It just tends to make things both more efficient for the engine in terms of performance, but also it kind of makes your life easier frequently as well. So we're going to have to transform this data. Like, we're not going to want to bring this in raw into PowerPivot. So we're going to go do some work on this in PowerView. Looks like these equals zeros. We should probably kind of be nice to them and turn them into zeros. These dashes, though, that probably means the data is missing, so we should probably try and nuke those out as opposed to assigning them a value of 0, which would throw off any averages and that sort of thing. So let's let's jump into some Power View work here. Let's launch Excel. I'm saying Power View. There's a lot of Power words. Power Query, Power View, Power Pivot, Power Shell I have down here. Sorry about that. Alright, so here we are, Power Querying. From File, CSV, Desktop, EEE. And it looks like it's not very happy. There were more columns in the result than expected. So right off the bat, we're not having a great time. Let's get rid of first row as header, because that's not helping us. Let's get rid of and changing of the data type. Will this thing complete for us and tell us what these parameters are supposed to be? I mean, that looks like a code for, is this US or whatever, and 65001 doesn't mean anything to me. Right, so up at the top of that file we had those extra rows, and apparently it started saying, oh, well, you only have one column, and then all heck broke loose. So, hopefully Power Query can recover from this. Let's try and remove those first 6 rows. And now we only have errors. Not a great start here, is it? Well, I'm going to pause while I go and try and find a solution to this. Well, let's see if we tell this guy that we are English. That didn't help us. Let's see if we can tell this guy that we like to separate by commas. That didn't help us. We do separate by commas. Refreshing did not help us. So, sadly, what you see here is an empty screen. This is the sign I gave up on using the CSV file. It was pretty sad. I think once Power Query had inferred that I only had one column based on the fact that the first 6 rows or whatever only had the one column of text, I was just kind of in a bad place at that point. I couldn't really convince it that I actually had multiple columns. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do the from text, and I've already renamed this guy to be a CSV.text file, because if I left it called .csv, then it would still try to import it as a CSV, even though I did the from text. And so at this point, at least I have all my data in, and I should be happy about that. There's not like lots of errors. We're back into a state where we can do some work, and so, well, let's do some work, people. So first we gotta get rid of this junk at the top, right? So we want to remove some top rows. That sounds good. Remove top rows. There are 6 of those. Boom. We now have just our header as the top. Then down here at the bottom we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I claim 7 to get rid of because I don't need the totals. So remove bottom rows. 7. Okay. And that looks pretty good. I have 52 rows, and that's because I have, the 50 states plus one for my header, and then the District of Columbia. And so we're feeling pretty good. Let's go split these guys by that comma. That looks pretty hot. I think at this point we can go ahead and say that this is our header row, right? And so use first row as headers. Look at that. State name, Alabama. And then, so now we're back to just this, way too wide list of columns here. And here we get to see, like, maybe my very, very, very favorite feature of Power Queries. I can just select all these columns, come up here to transform, and just say unpivot. Bam! I'm unpivoted, and I'm happy. Power Query loves this format. I love this format. It'll be way easier for us to work with. All right, so let's start dealing with some bad data first. We know we want this to be. There's our equals 0. Let's deal with those first. So we have some dashes to deal with, some equals zeros to deal with, and probably some of these weird symbols to deal with. I think these represent I have no data, and we're going to want to just delete those. If we converted them to zeros, you're just going to throw off your averages. That's not really correct, right? This is missing data, not zeros. But this really is a 0, so let's deal with that first. We're just going to do replace values, replace equals 0 with a 0. All right, that was pretty easy. And I love this about Power Query as well, that it builds up this kind of stack of steps that it took, and you can always like jump back and like say, oh, what did this look like right after I split? This is a change type. I don't know on what. I don't really super care. That's after I promoted the headers. I just love that I can jump back and see the data after each step, and I can always kind of rewind and see what was going on. Okay, so at this point, we know there's some stuff that's not going to convert nicely to integers. We want to remove those rows, but what I'm going to do is just go change this data type to whole number and just let it blow up. Right? So now we have errors. If you want, you can be more specific here. Change to whole number type. You don't have to. So these errors, theoretically we can convert these into zeros, but like we said, that's not really what that represents. Our zeros, it represents just the lack of data. So, as opposed to like replacing error values with zeros or something like that, we're just going to remove the errors. So we select the column. I think if you just select anywhere in the column, it's probably just as good. I don't want to keep them. I want to remove them. So there you go. We now have no errors. And we feel good about that column. Now this, we don't feel as good about this. We want to split this guy up into multiple columns. And so what we're going to notice here, there's kind of a space dash space and a space dash space there. I think that's a pretty good place to start. So let's go ahead and split by delimiter. Drop down to custom and say space dash space. And hit OK. And look at that. That looks a lot like the race. Let's go ahead and rename that guy. Oh, looks like we have 2 or more races. That's fine. Oh dear. Looks like there's some inconsistencies. We probably should deal with that. Let's come back to that problem. So here, it's just grade 12 dropouts and grade 12 students. I don't think having grade 12 in there is particularly useful, so let's go ahead and replace some values here. Replace grade 12 with nothing. And then this is now our, I don't know, it's our calculation type, but I'll just, right? So it's either dropout or student. We have two different types of values. The how many students did you have and how many students dropped out. Okay, so we now have the type, we have the race, and I don't know what the heck district is. Okay, let's do this. It looks like the last 1 or 7 characters there are always the year. So let's do that. We're going to split again, but this time we're going to go by number of characters. And we're going to say on the right side, grab 7 characters. And it's a date type for unknown reasons. Okay, so it tried to infer the date. It did a poor, and it was a date, but it was, I don't even know what that is, but let's just get rid of this step. And now we're back. So 2007, I guess it was trying to say it thought that was the 8th month of 2007. So we just got rid of that step, and now we're back into a place that we like. We can call this the year range. Text is fine. Okay, so now we have either district or state, which maybe concerns me slightly that some things are district and some things are state. We may have messed things up. I am going to make the command decision to just ignore that problem, though. For our purposes, it's not like, if we totally screw this up and we make bad, if we have bad insights, so to speak, that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. We would have still had a good learning experience together, and I don't want to get super bogged down into the quality of the data. So let's split this by the space that is between the sex and that other field. So now we have this guy, which I don't even care about, so I'm just going to just delete him. I don't know what I just did. I remove other column. Oh, I did not mean that. So this is the great thing here, right? I just go click that, and then that's kind of your undos, or just remove it from the stack. I don't know why this is still here. Okay, now it's gone, but this is back. My type was changed again, so again we're gonna get rid of that. I don't know what that remove columns is. I don't trust it anymore. So again, we're gonna select here and say remove. Okay, that time it worked. I don't know why did I just remove that? What was that? Alright, we're rewinding here a bit and walking through some steps. So here we have both things together. We split that. We renamed to year range. And then we expect to split this into the sect and then the sex and then either the district or state. That worked. I'm not sure what this is. There's probably an extra space in there I wasn't expecting. So I actually want to remove both of these columns. And that removed one. Let's remove the other. Okay. A little confusion there, but it happens. This is the sex. Okay, so we have state, type, the race, which has some issues somewhere. American Indian has some issues there. And then we have our sex, our year range, and our value. This is a whole number. Everything else is text. Oh, that's an any. Let's switch this to a text. Okay. How? Let's see here. They all have Amer, the first part of American. I wonder if I can use that to my advantage. So can I say Amer, match entire cell contents with American Indian? Apparently that didn't match. Can I? Yeah, that's not going to help me. Now we have American Indian. Let's see what we have here. Replace values. Parse. I'm tempted to like add a new column that's and do some sort of, hey, if you find, Amer, then convert it to American Indian, Alaska Native. Otherwise, just pass it through so that Hispanic, Black, White just passes through, and then we can kind of use that to get a consistent column, and then just not actually import this column. The easy way out at this point is for me to deal with this in Power Pivot, where I'm a little bit more comfortable than I am in Power Query. I don't think that would be the end of the world. All right, let's just let's do this. Let me select these guys. Oh, there's also this issue here with Asian. All right, let's deal with one problem at a time here, though. We're going to say that this is the value we like. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to pick this guy here and say replace values. That becomes that. And then this guy here, the same type of thing. That becomes that. No. Oh, that filter was not just my view of the world. It was that filter was applied permanently. So we're gonna go delete that guy and hope these replacements stay here, and they did. So now if I drop this down, I still have. That's interesting. What was this one? Replace Amer.Indian, and this one was replace Amer.Indian. Oh, wow. Now it's gone. So it looked like it was just a little delay there. I don't know what that was about. So we have the same type of thing here. Let's say that, let me grab these. I like, sure, I like this one. I don't know. I have no real preference here. Let's go replace that with that. And again, go get rid of this filter, which would apply for always and forever. And now that's gone. All right, so we feel pretty good here. Little data cleanup. I guess we can call this guy. What am I doing here? School data query. That's not really school. Education query. Okay, then we are kind of done here in Power Query land. I'm in 2010, so the model here is a little bit different. My choices are to load this back to a table on a sheet, which I just have no desire to do. I only need to hook this up to Power Pivot, and so I'm just going to create a connection here and say load. And nothing shows up here. But over here in Power Pivot land, if I go to design existing connections, this guy shows up here. I double click him. It shows this crazy connection string because I think Power Query encodes all that data we just worked on right into this connection string. I'm guessing that's certainly how it looks. I'm going to hit next, and at this point I know I'm going to be in trouble. I will prove that to you by clicking finish. Yay, I have 4,000 single columns of data. All right, we're coming up on the half-hour mark here. I think this video is probably long enough. In part 2 of the real experience, the first episode here, we're gonna have to deal with this problem now, and then we'll finally get into the part for me, which is where I'm more comfortable, which is the Power Pivot experience. So hope to see you back for part 2.